Hi guys, I am back. Today's going to be a really long video. I'm feeling a lot better, so you can stand my voice now, hopefully. I want to go over everything from the past couple of days, just kind of recap those, and then we'll talk about today's stuff as well. So, first is going to be day 4. We're talking all about your relationship with food and what that looked like for you, and then how you would like it to look. So, a lot of times I hear a lot of people say that they have a negative relationship with food, or they don't look forward to eating, or they have this sort of disdain for their food because they know that it's not giving them what they want. They're confused by it. They feel frustrated with their food. They feel like they've tried everything. And I feel like that's what kind of brings on this negative relationship that you can have with food and becomes really frustrating. And I think a lot of people really want to have that positive relationship. And for a lot of people, that looks like knowing exactly what to eat, knowing what their portion should look like, feeling comfortable with their food. Their food doesn't make them bloated, doesn't make them uncomfortable, doesn't make them unhappy, and it's also helping them get to whatever their goal is. Then we kind of talked a little bit about goals on the following day, but before we get there, one of the things that can be really huge when it comes to creating your goals and changing those that relates to the relationship that you have with food can be the way that you identify yourself. So what I mean by that is if in your mind you're saying, I'm really bad with food, but I want to have a better relationship with food, you're kind of creating this roadblock for yourself that it's going to be really difficult to get past. So if instead you say, I am this, even if you have bad tendencies, it's really going to help your brain to just kind of realize that new truth for you, so to speak. So that can look a lot of different ways. It can, some examples outside of food, if you're trying to get into exercising regularly, telling yourself, I'm an active person is going to help. Or saying it to somebody else rather than saying, well, I try to exercise a few times a week, but, whatever. So there's a lot of different things you can do with that. If it's, I have a weakness for chocolate, you can flip it, make it a positive thing, change your identity from that perspective, and that's going to help you reach your goals a lot faster. And that kind of leads us into day 5. We talked about goals, but we also talked about slowing down while you eat. And this really is the foundation of any nutrition program that you should ever do. So not only is slowing down gonna allow you to really enjoy your food a little bit more, but it also increases your sense satisfaction. So what I mean by that is it's going to allow you to feel full when you are full. When we kind of rush through eating and we're just inhaling our food, it's really hard to tell when we're full and when it's time to stop eating. So it gives us the ability to have that time for our body to recognize, hey, we're full, we can stop now. The other thing that's going to happen is you're going to be more satisfied with your food. So if you slow down, you're enjoying the textures and the taste of your food, it can help a lot. And this is one of those things that really helps even if you're eating something that's not great. So let's say your chocolate is your thing. Have some chocolate, but really take the time to slow down and enjoy the taste and the flavor of it. You can do the same thing with alcoholic drinks. If carbs are your thing, whatever it is, if you slow down, you're actually going to enjoy it more, and you're way less likely to overindulge at that point. The other thing that happens when we slow down is that you give your body a chance to go through its natural process. So if you guys have ever taken an anatomy class in high school or college, you might remember that our body breaks down the food that we put into it as it goes through our system. So when we slow down, we can smell our food, which is going to make us salivate, which is a good thing. Salivating helps us break down the enzymes in our food, particularly our carbs. So if we are just inhaling those and don't give our body a chance to create our saliva to do that, it makes it really difficult to break down. And then that can lead to a lot of other problems. If we slow down and we are chewing our food right, it's going to break down a little bit better that in our stomach. It's going to allow our stomach the ability to release more stomach acid to break down those things in our small intestine. There's a lot that goes into it. And if there is nothing that you change in your nutrition, this is the one thing that will actually make a huge difference. A lot of people see a lot of really good results out of just slowing down their eating, even if they don't change anything that they're eating at all. That's how important this is. So just to give you an example, the University of Rhode Island did a study And they saw that slow eaters eat about 2 ounces of food per minute, and fast eaters eat just over 3 ounces of food per minute. And that might not seem like a big deal, but when you put it in perspective, that means that on average you're eating about 650 calories in 9 minutes, or as a fast eater. And if you are a slow eater, you're only going to eat about 580 calories in 29 minutes. Okay, so that's a difference of 70 calories over the course of 20 minutes. So that makes it really easy for us to get really caught up in eating those chips or eating the popcorn or eating whatever it is when we're doing it mindlessly and we're eating it really quickly. So when we can take a step back and slow down, it's really going to make a huge difference on how we digest food, how it sticks in our body, how it exits our body, all those things. Okay. And then on day 6, we talked about cravings a little bit, which is a huge topic. If you guys have not taken the quiz that's on my website, if you go to the Pursuit of Thriving blog and scroll down a little ways, it should be right there. There's a quiz you can take. It will walk you through a bunch of questions, and then I'll send you an email basically telling you what your craving type is. Your craving type, what you crave, is related to a lot of things. It can be a hormone imbalance or it can be an amino acid imbalance. So there's a lot of things that go into that. Whether you are craving something and you think that's what you really need, it could be your brain's way of telling you that you need a vitamin or nutrient. It's really that simple. Our brains are very smart in asking for what it needs, but sometimes we don't know how to interpret it. So I just wanted to throw that out there, a little bit more help for cravings. I know that was a little bit vague in terms of like resolving your cravings. Drinking water is obviously going to help a lot. Make sure that you're full and getting able to digest everything a little bit better, but also keeping you full longer so that you don't have those cravings. But one of the things that I see a lot is for most people, and the exception is if you work out first thing in the morning, if you start your day with carbs, you have an insulin spike first thing in the morning, and it's going to mess you up for the rest of the day. So that's not going to be resolved until you go to sleep that night. So that's one of the hardest things you can do on your body if you're not exercising first thing in the morning, is have those carbs and that sugar in your system. It just makes your blood sugar really wonky for the entire rest of the day, and it's very difficult to fix, regardless of if you didn't have another ounce of carbs for the rest of the day. So just one thing to think about when you're picking your breakfast option, that can actually relate to a lot of your carb cravings that come later in the day as well. Okay, so that brings me to today, which is day 7, and I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about perspective. So our perspective around food and our bodies is always changing. So I want to talk about food first. So as you probably know, our perspective around a lot of different foods have changed over time, especially in the last few years. So there was a time when everybody thought that bacon and butter and eggs were bad for you, and everybody avoided them, and they didn't want to have cholesterol, they were unhealthy fats, and that's simply not the case. Those things are good for you. And yes, I am on record now saying that bacon and butter are good for you. I have no problem with my clients adding those to your food because they are healthy and natural fats, so by all means, have them. But as those perspectives change, we realize that things can be good for us or bad for us, depending on what our goals are, of course. So it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but it also changes our perspective when it comes to our bodies. So it changes over time, which is kind of what we're talking about today. Not only do the norms for body image change a little bit over time about what's trendy or what's like ideal. We see this a lot, particularly for women, but it certainly is applicable for men as well in terms of like what's attractive and things. But it also changes with our perspective over time of how we see our bodies. So it is not uncommon for me to meet with somebody and them tell me that they want to have the body that they had 10 years ago. And that's a perfectly great goal to have. I can respect that 100%. But my follow-up question is typically, were you happy with your body 10 years ago? And the answer is typically no. So sometimes it's really hard for us to see that something's good until we're somewhere else. And it's important to recognize that being happy with how you are right now can go a long ways, because if you're never happy, it doesn't matter where you are on that scale of skinny to not skinny or healthy to unhealthy if you're not going to be happy with where you're at the time, and make the changes that you need to. So today's reflection point is I want you to think about what your relationship with food looked like when you were 12 years old. This is going to be a little bit different for everybody, especially depending how old you are. There's a lot of things have changed over the course of everyone's life, depending when you grew up and what the outlook on food was at that point in time. But I want you to think about how it was then and how you ate, if you thought about your food, if you just ate your favorite foods when you were 12 years old, if you hated mom making you eat your vegetables. And then I want you to compare it to now. And I want you to think about how you sit down to a meal each day and how that feels for you. If you are still eating your favorite foods, if you look forward to your meals, how those things have changed. And I want you to compare the two. And then I want you to think about how that makes you feel. I think this will be a really good thing just to think about throughout the day. It doesn't have to be like a sit down and write everything down. If you don't have time to do that, just think about it, about how things have changed since you were 12 years old. 12 years old is kind of this breaking point between being a child and becoming an adult, so I think this is perfect. And then your assignment for today is I want you to take a brief moment before each of your meals today and just appreciate the food that you're eating and the way that's nourishing your body. So whether you are eating something that is on track with your goals or not, I just want you to think about how it's nourishing your body. Is it improving your health? Is it not improving your health? And regardless, I just want you to be appreciative for the fact that the food is keeping you alive. We all know that we have to eat to survive, and there's only a certain amount of time that we can not eat and still be functioning well. So regardless of if that food is good or bad, like we've talked about, I just want you to think about how that food is keeping you alive and the fact that that is an important system that happens for us day in and day out, okay? This has been a long one. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.